Hey, you beautiful people, welcome back to a new video on our channel Read Travel Become. A month back, I was invited as a speaker to the New York University, NYU in New York City. For the first time, I was going there in capacity of my work as a product manager and not as a person who loves books and literature. But inevitably, post the event, I started talking to a lot of people and they realized that, I read books and 9 out of 10, the students there, the people there who were guests there, everybody asked me about self-help book recommendations. Everybody asked me about books to handle your emotions, books to think about success, business, all of these academic self-help sort of books. And that got me thinking about how this industry, how reading as a whole is just viewed with a lens of non-fiction books. And also, one of the comments on my channel recently I saw was reading fiction isn't cool anymore, and this video is kind of a response to that. We're going to talk about how I feel it's one of the best things ever, and I'm going to talk about how this industry is basically building up. So this video is going to be full of information. Make sure you watch the video till the end. You may never know which thought or fact may resonate with you and change the course of your life. So let's get started. If I consider my personal reading journey, I have read genres of all types. I've read fiction, non-fiction, biographies, narrative non-fiction, every type. Reading for me doesn't just boil down to books that optimize your life. If you go on Twitter and LinkedIn these days, you would find posts around this new book by this self-help motivational guru just crossed 100,000 sales. And everything is just a trigger about how these books are going to fix your life. Because apparently, if a book can't optimize your life or fix your life, it isn't worth it. I've also got a lot of comments and emails from parents of students who want their children to not read storybooks. They call fiction as storybooks in a demeaning term, and they tell that storybooks is a waste of time and reading storybooks is just not worth it, and you should basically read more of fiction and read more of academic stuff. Every 20 something kid today wants to view their life in a way to optimize it. Reading has for them has become like, how do I optimize, how do I hustle, how do I read something non-fiction and signal the world that I'm growing and I'm hustling. I have a friend who has never read any book in his life, and just because he's seeing this whole dominance on the web about self-help books, he picks up some Ankur Warikoo trash book and puts it on his Instagram story and says, no, I'm a reader as well now. I'm going to signal the world that I'm reading non-fiction books. My point is, somewhere along the whole concept of reading, the possibility of wonder has diminished, the possibility of indulgence, leisurely reading has diminished, and this whole idea of optimizing your life through reading has resurfaced. Everywhere you go, people are signaling how this book is actionable, how this book is going to fix your life. So let's talk more about that. If you read Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens, he has talked about a fundamental concept of storytelling. He has talked about how, on the timeline of human existence, for the most part, we didn't have technology, we didn't have a lot of amenities like we have right now. We are at the brink, we are at the literally the last half percent of the entire 100% timeline, if you can say. So, he has talked about how stories was one of the most fundamental aspects of growing humanity. People basically told each other stories about the weather, about the storm, about fire. Everything was a story. So, at a primal level, human beings are supposed to tell stories and hear stories. It's a primal thing. It's not something that people have just started to figure out. Religion is nothing but storytelling. Religion, the whole concept of religion came about because people told stories about faith. People told stories about gods, and people who were thinking that these are similarities between different groups, they formed these communities, and that's how communities grew. So you will know Harari talks about how storytelling is such a fundamental aspect. Now, if a kid is trying to read a fundamental aspect, a fundamental primal aspect of being human, how is that wrong? By reading a story, you're basically pushing kids to become a person who can feel something. Because to be very honest, non-fiction doesn't make you feel anything. Fiction makes you feel something. It's almost like reading non-fiction has become like supplements these days, right? The pharma industry is pushing out all of these supplements down your throat, and the self-help industry is pushing all of these self-help books down your throat. For example, in the morning you read motivation, in the afternoon you read about entrepreneurship, and before going to bed you read these growth hacks which you should incorporate daily in your life. Get up at 5 a.m., be successful, network with people. This is just a lot of optimization that you are expecting out of reading non-fiction books. And here's the truth, that comment which said reading fiction is not cool, somehow it's becoming true, because it's not cool anymore to tell someone that, hey, yesterday I just finished an Elif Shafak novel and I cried. It's not cool anymore. It won't get you likes, it won't get you views. But if you say, these are the 5 things I learned from a Naval Ravikant book, it will instantly get you views. People would want to read that book and it suddenly blew up. Even for, I have massive respect for booktubers and bookstagrammers who are actively sharing stories and actively sharing books about stories, because to be honest, it's very hard, because it's time consuming to read a fiction book. You need to sit down, you need to declutter and just immerse in the world that author has created, and you're not expecting out of it, right? You're not expecting the book to fix you, but you are here just to experience the primal need of storytelling. So massive respect for all of these people. But again, these things do not get views. Booktubers do not get views when they talk about fiction books. I remember when I first read The Book Thief. It's somewhere here in my collection also. So I was sitting in a staircase. There was no internet. I didn't have my phone, and I was reading the part where Death narrates the bombings. And I remember thinking, oh my God, these are just words. Someone somewhere has written these words in some part of the world which I'm not privy to. And these words are literally making my chest collapse. Such is the power of words. It's just written on a sheet of paper, but I got to feel the horrors of the war. I got to feel for those people who are victims of the war. I haven't been in a war. I haven't experienced anything close to a war, and thankfully so. But just reading those words, mentally, I was transported there. There are many studies which say the same part of your brain is activated when you are actually doing that thing. For example, if you're running, there's a certain part of your brain that gets activated. But when you read about a person who is running, the same part of brain when you are actually running also gets activated. So you are literally stepping in the shoes of characters and experiencing different worlds. In fiction, you are basically navigating these unknown worlds. You are being imaginative, you are being patient, and you are not expecting anything out of it. You're not expecting to optimize your life. So it's not you, it's not about you, it's about stories, it's about different worlds. Before all of these spreadsheets, before all of these growth hacks, before all of these 10 things by which you can become a millionaire, before all of this, there's always a primal need of telling stories about basic things, right? Like feeling, indulgence. And again, I'm not saying that self-help books are not important. Yes, they're important to navigate some things. They're important when you're actually experiencing some hardships, but they aren't the ultimate form of truth, right? They are just a means to get there. They're not everything. And when parents say don't read storybooks, it's a very wrong notion. And primarily my video wants to communicate these to parents that, reading fiction is cool, it's not uncool. Reading fiction won't teach you how to get up at 5 a.m. or develop a habit, but it will tell you how do you feel when you don't get up at 5 a.m. How do you feel in bed all day? You can read a whole book about grit and how to not give up, but you will understand how it feels to be gritty when you read Mariam and Layla's story in A Thousand Splendid Suns. That's when you actually feel how gritty feels like. If you read about loneliness and 5 things by which you can't be lonely, and 5 ways to do better networking, you would just understand on a high level how that works. But when you read Albert Camus, when you read all of these other hardcore philosophies, you would get the idea of loneliness. You read Kurt Vonnegut, you would understand the horrors of the war. You read Elif Shafak, you would understand your history and your personal roots. You read Murakami and you will understand loneliness, how you would understand companionship, and you would understand magical realism. So non-fiction books can't give you that feeling at all. But hey, who's got that time, right? Like, who's got that time when you can optimize your life again? You're already optimizing your life with a million other things, right? You are working, you are maintaining your relationships, you are keeping your house clean, you are maintaining your health, you are maintaining your food. There's just a lot of clutter and there's a lot of optimization here that you're already doing. But when you add reading to that optimization, that just boils my blood, because reading is something which is very indulgent in nature. You don't have to read to become the best person. You have to read because you want to feel the best things in life, right? They're just amazing worlds to explore out there by which you can feel something, because when you think like a lot of people, you become a part of a lot of people. But when you feel something which is very, very personal to you, considering where you're coming from, what your life experiences have been, you become an individual person, and that basically gives you your own voice. Reading fiction has given me my own voice. I have lived many worlds through different characters, and I have become very empathetic because I've understood how people may react in different situations. I've felt that, and I've not just read it. The next thing is, reading fiction is also something which is ultimately making you a very patient person. It's just calming you down a lot. It's giving you this zen like quality, because you want to just sit with the author and explore the whole story with the author. With nonfiction, it's just a quick turnaround to finish the book and get those insights and apply. There's just a constant rush. But with leisurely reading, it's like, you just want to slow down. And I feel, in a way, you're learning about slowness, you're learning about meditation more from reading fiction, because you are actually being present in the moment. By reading non-fiction, what you're doing is you're constantly thinking about what next, what in the future, and you're again at a lot of places mentally. But with reading fiction, you are present, you are there with the author. The author is whispering those words in your ear, and you're feeling different words. Reading non-fiction may make you a millionaire, may make you a healthier person, may make you an emotionally strong person, but reading fiction will make you human. It will tie to your roots of why humans exist, which is to tell stories and listen to stories. And maybe in this world of noise, all that we need is just to feel something and become more human. I feel strongly about this topic. That's why I wanted to make this video about how reading fiction is equally important and how it has personally helped me a lot. I am a much more patient person. I have this calmed energy these days, in last couple of years, because of reading fiction, because I'm just very excited by the idea of going into different worlds. So the next time someone says reading fiction isn't cool anymore, you can share them this video, and we can have a debate on how I personally feel very strongly about reading fiction, and explaining how reading fiction is equally helpful, if not more, as reading non-fiction. Because these days I'm seeing on the internet especially, there's just this high funda culture of pushing non-fiction down your throats. And I want to celebrate fiction, I want to celebrate literature, I want to celebrate the greats, the classics, because all of these fiction stories have come from a place of some feeling, right? Albert Camus and all of these great writers, not just one writer. It's just beautiful to read classics and the whole idea of leisurely reading. So yeah, that were my thoughts on why reading fiction isn't cool anymore, and why I think it's always going to be the coolest. So yeah, let me know in the comment section what you think, and recommend me some nice fiction books to read during the holiday season. Thank you so much for watching the video till here. Lots of interesting videos are lined up, so stay tuned. And yeah, that's all for this video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.